Call this committee to order. Mr. Frizzalone, lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take the roll, please.
The Mayor, Benefield, Brooks,
Here.
Frizzalone,
Here.
Gold,
Here.
Hart, Ogalla, Parker, Haley Ferry, Chiminello,
Here.
Weigel,
Here.
Winfrey, here, and Nuisance. Did you have a quorum?
Okay, thank you. Next will be the approval of minutes. Motion, second. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Well, that was for the February 21st ad hoc committee and then the March 3rd minutes. Moved. Second by somebody? Second by Tuanello. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Is there any old business to bring forward today? Okay, then under new business, authorizing an agreement to provide for the financing of public improvements for the development of property located at Route 6 and 55. This deals with the village of Shanahan. I don't know if we need to go through a full-blown presentation, as we've gone through presentations on this in the past. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Move.
Moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have authorizing the county executive to negotiate an update to the White study. This is to, basically, this is to update the White study that was done a number of years ago, I think maybe about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, to reflect the current conditions and to look at, potentially look at the current courthouse site for redevelopment.
I move.
Yes,
Right.
yes. A motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have authorizing the county executive to execute a contract with Kluber Architects and Engineering for the Health Department facility. Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have awarding bid for digital copiers. Moved. Second. By Frizzalone. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have authorizing renewal of contract with the Employment and Employer Services for the on-the-job training program. Moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have authorizing renewal of contract with the Joliet Junior College Workforce Development for Work Readiness Program. Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorizing contract with Bergman Equipment and Manufacturing for a training grant.
Move.
Moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have authorized renewal of contract with the Joliet Junior College Workforce Development for WIOA Youth Occupational Training and GED Academic Skill Improvement Program. Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have authorized intergovernmental agreement with New Lenox for one-day annual fall household hazardous waste drop-off. Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorizing intergovernmental agreement with New Lenox Township for a one-day annual fall household hazardous waste drop-off event. Moved. Second by Tuanello. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Authorizing intergovernmental agreement with Kendall County for electronics recycling. Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. authorizing contract with the legislative management for board management software.
Move.
Moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Replacement hire for the Division of Transportation. I don't know if, who's here? Mr. Tidwell, are you here?
Jeff's here.
Jeff's here. This is for the,
I think this is the shop.
is this the one for the,
This is just a, let me see here. Yeah, shop worker.
and we've already approved this as for
Yes.
pre-play, okay. All in favor? Did we have a motion and a second? How about a motion, a motion and a second first? A motion, and Winfrey, okay.
Yeah.
Got a motion, second, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Next, we have replacement hire for the Emergency Management Agency.
Move.
Nope, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Replacement hire for the County Executive Human Resource Department. Move, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Proclamations, Mr.
We have
Brooks.
3 that was brought to us, recognizing Karen Severo for her retirement, Sunny Hill.
It's worthwhile.
Pam Boucher on her retirement from TB Clinic, and Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yep, okay.
So,
Those three?
and the last one, Mental Health is read from the desk.
We're just gonna read that.
Just
into
gonna
the
read that
For
in
the
the
desk.
record.
Okay,
Right.
very good, okay.
But I need to ask this. Now, Judy, I see you recommending all 3 of these.
I think we're gonna work out.
Okay,
the others.
okay. All right, good.
Okay, work out who's gonna read them?
Who's gonna read
Oh, that's fine, okay. Okay, next we have the appointments to the county executive.
Move.
Moved. Second?
Nick has a comment.
Yeah, Nick, go ahead.
Wanted to make you aware, we had just received the recommendation from the Republican Party chairman for the Board of Review appointment, which she's already serving, so I don't think there's a need to bring it forward this month, but I just wanted to make you aware in case someone knew there was a
Oh,
reason.
Is
to
there
move.
any reason we can't put it on?
Well, no, we just got it, so it would be,
So you know what, why don't we leave a space for all, for that appointment
I mean,
also?
yeah, that's fine. If it's just wouldn't have met, we didn't meet the deadline because we just got it, but
I know you did, because
But-
I just got the letter too,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
So
But we're
I
happy
would.
to move it forward.
We'll add that, so we just say, we're gonna add Nikki Sanders to the list for County Board of Review.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll add that.
Okay.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, because I was gonna mention it, but you reminded me, thank you, because I would have forgotten. Okay, so then we'll amend the appointments of the county executive, so I will entertain a motion to approve the county board, the county executive appointments as amended.
Move.
Moved,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Next, we have the,
This one is the one that Jeff asked
okay,
about.
under other business, replacement hire for reposting for highway department. These are all truck driving, maintenance positions. Jeff, you're here? Okay, why don't you just give us a quick synopsis on why you need these new hires? I know you've had some retirements or people have left or whatever.
The DOT maintenance side has had retirements and even the passing of one individual who passed many months. So we had upward mobility within, but now we're left at the 3 at the bottom. Again, within the budget, 3 replacement hires. These will be truck drivers to bring our ranks back up to where they need to be to continue with the mowing, the patching, the ditching, pipe culvert replacements, keep everything on track for the motoring public.
Okay. One question I would have, Jeff, is this. As you mentioned, there's some upward mobility. So in other words, they become foremen or supervisors of some sort. But the thing I'm always interested in, and I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway, that when we have this upward mobility, we're not creating new positions in management or in supervision, are we?
No, we are not.
Okay.
Same complement staff that we have.
Okay. So I don't have a problem. These are replacements due to either basically retirements, one way or the other, whether they're, Okay, so we have a motion Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The only other thing I would say is, these are pre-postings, they're on our site. If you have folks in your community, or you have a neighbor who you think this is the type of employment they would be interested in, let them know. Let them get on, let them put their application in. It's a these are competitive jobs. These are some of the higher paying jobs that we have in the county. And certainly internal candidates do get preference, but it seems to me that our internal candidates, we haven't been hiring these positions with internal candidates. So if you know folks that are interested, tell them to get their applications in. So it is up on the executive's website, but maybe we should start putting it on the county board website too, just another place that people can see it. So, all right? So, okay, so we did the motion in this. Okay, you got the request for state's attorney's opinions. I don't think we currently have any out there that I'm aware of. Tom? Okay, I'll get to that.
He must have something under other new business.
Okay, so other new business, Tom, do you have something you want to mention?
Last month, I'd sent a request for a committee assignment for a leaf burning ordinance change, and I understand it wasn't assigned. The Health Committee didn't want to hear it, so I'd like to ask the Executive Committee to assign it to the Land Use Committee. The Land Use Committee, this is something dealing with the use of the land, and the Land Use Department responds if there is a complaint concerning leaf burning. So I would like that assigned to the Land Use Committee in the June meeting.
Okay, well, here's, I think, the issue, and we'll take a vote on this, I think. At least you can give me, even the Executive Committee, I haven't seen a lot of support for this. Tom, we have gone over this leaf burning numerous times with really, even though there's been some changes, and I think positive changes to specifically stop burning in areas where there is subdivisions or high density housing. So I will ask the Executive Committee, even though I think that we would have to put this on as an item to actually assign it, which would mean we'd have to go to the next meeting. Is there support to go through this again?
I don't know. That's what I'm.
Well, I'm asking the committee now. So, I can put this on the Executive Committee, not necessarily for any particular assignment, but to see whether the Executive Committee wants to listen to this or go through this process one more time. Because I do think, Tom, we've spent a lot of time on this, and I think we've made some positive changes.
Well, I don't think we've gone far enough.
Well, I know you don't, but that's not a reason to continually bring it back year after year, because it's not where you want to see it.
It's not me, it's the residents that are
Well,
contacting me.
I will tell you that, I don't know. Maybe there's a handful of people have contacted you. Doesn't mean there's this problem of burning within the ordinance. I think the people who maybe complain, the people who are burning rather, are in violation of the current ordinance. So, and I think that in itself is part of the problem. You want to make it even more restrictive when they're already illegally burning and it's not being enforced. So
It's only, the ordinance now is 50 feet from the neighbor's house. If your lot is 50 feet, you can burn on your own lot.
If their lots are big enough, that's correct. If the, and
And
that's
this
part of
smoke is
what
going to
we,
go 200
that's
feet, it's
partly-
not going to go 50
that's
feet.
probably, and that is not done by, I mean, that I think was the intent of the board, was that folks that live in what I call rural residential still had the ability to do some burning, because they lived in more rural, open areas. So I will first ask, let me just ask the committee, I'll put it on the next executive committee agenda, to see if you want to place it on an agenda. Whether you want to go through this one more time. When I don't necessarily, Tom, and Lee, I applaud your efforts here, Tom, and I don't totally disagree with what you're trying to accomplish, but if there's not some reasonable expectation that you have support for this, then, you know, I think I don't see the purpose if less.
Well, I don't know, that's what I'm asking. Do I have support or not?
Mr. Brooks?
Tom, you mentioned that the Public Health Committee is where this issue belongs, but you didn't want to add it to the agenda. Now, prior to Judy, before you became the chairman, as you know, we've had much discussion about this issue long before you were even born. We've been talking about it. And I'm not so sure.
I don't know if she's quite that young, but,
She looks young to me.
Yeah.
But my point is this. I don't believe that it should go to executive. I think it should go properly where it belongs, and that's the public health. And I think that's where that discussion have originated, and that's where that discussion belongs. I think in time, it would come to land use and/or executive and did a full board, but I do believe that it should go back to your committee, Chairman Ogalla, because that's where it belongs. And bringing it to our committee, though, executive,
I wouldn't be bringing it to the executive to hear it. Everything goes to executive.
for the vote.
No, you go to executive committee just to be assigned.
Correct.
Assigned.
But
So
shouldn't-
if there's not support to assign it, then, you know.
But shouldn't there be discussion, though? I saw the letters, and I do believe it warrants some discussion. That's why I'm bringing it up, Tom. But shouldn't it go back to public health for discussion?
If the executive committee makes the determination that they think it should be heard another time, and wants to assign it to public health, the executive committee can do that. We assign to committees as a executive committee. My point is that if there's not support, why would we assign it anywhere? You know, at this point in time. Mr. Gould?
I don't want to give the whole history of this, but a few years ago, Mr. Babich brought this forward when he was the chairman of that committee. And for those of us who were on the board at the time, the committee spent a considerable, and I mean considerable amount of time on this. Months and months of discussion, public hearings, citizens coming in, et cetera. So then a few years ago, we passed some changes to the ordinance. At this point in time, I would suggest that if Mr. Weigel has a specific proposal he would like to make to the committee, whatever committee it's assigned to, then that's fine. But I don't think that we need to revisit and have a wholesale, redo of the entire ordinance because we went through that process already. But if there's a specific proposal you want to make to amend the ordinance, then certainly the committee should hear a specific proposal, but we should not go back and do entirely what we did 3 years ago and redo that all over again.
And I think he does have a specific amendment to the ordinance.
Right.
Which he's
It's
proposing.
just to limit leaf burning to 2 days a week, a Wednesday and Saturday. That's the specific proposal.
That's an amendment, that's fine.
Okay, well then, let's do this. Judy, I'm going to suggest that, and we're doing committee assignments now, that we amend it to have your committee listen to the amendment that Mr. Weigel would like to propose to the burning ordinance. And see if there's support for that, okay? But Tom, you can, we're only bringing forward the specific amendment that you're suggesting, which would limit burning, and I'll say we're gonna, I would suggest that, well, refresh my memory, Tom. You wanted to have 2 days burning, but only in specific zoning classifications, correct? Or you're talking about across the board?
Well, I'm just.
I mean, we're not going to put any restrictions on ag, for example.
No, I'm not changing anything else. I'm just saying, this is the 2 days that.
Okay,
anybody
but I
from the
think,
public-
I think then you should refine that to say what zoning classifications you're talking about.
Well, it doesn't get into zoning classifications, our
Well,
ordinance.
Because, for example, if you're E1, you could be sitting on 10, 15 acres. Are we including them in the ban, or you want to include it?
Our
in certain-
ordinance doesn't say anything about zoning classifications, so I'm not suggesting we should add zoning classifications.
Okay, so you're going to say across the board, no matter
Right.
where you are, that you would be limited. Okay, if that's what you want to do,
Right.
I'm kind of giving you a hint of another way of doing it, but if you want to stick to what you want to propose, that's fine. So we will, on committee assignments, we will add Mr. Weigel's amendments to the agenda
For June, right?
For June 1st.
for June, that you'll go to the committee and propose them. But we're not going to move it over to land use because this has been at, historically, regardless of who does enforcement, this issue has always been at the Public Health Committee, so.
That's fine.
So, okay, so we will add it, and then it's up to the committee whether they think they want to continue to bring it forward with or without. Well, I guess we could bring it forward with a recommendation of yes or no. So, to the executive committee then, and so. All right, so you want to make that motion, Tom, to add it? To Public Health and Safety?
Yeah, I'll make that motion that it be added to the Public Health and Safety Committee next month.
Your proposed amendment, which you will then send in what you're proposing.
I already sent it in to staff. They have it.
Okay. Then
We'll
we'll
attach
attach it, we'll attach it to that.
Do we have a second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So Tom is placed on,
100% in favor of it here, see?
well, they're only 100% on hearing it. I think you're gonna get a little different, I think you're gonna get a little different, I think you're gonna get a little, because first, one of the things that you should be prepared, and why this shouldn't, think that this is gonna just go quickly, is because I wanna see these complaints. That all this illegal, all this burning that's going on, I want to see where they're burning within the ordinance and people are complaining. Because if they're currently in the ordinance and burning, then it is it's a enforcement issue. So Tom, you have to demonstrate that they're burning within the ordinance and people are complaining. So
You're only going to hear from 1% of the people. People don't want to really come out and complain all the time
Tom,
about the
if they're not
meetings.
complaining, then there's not a complaint. And they have to be they have to be burning within the current ordinance. And there's complaints. If they're burning outside the ordinance, or within, and it's an enforcement issue.
Well, land use goes out and investigates these things.
Well, then land use can show us about how the burning is
And they-
being done
they tell
outside the
people-
ordinance.
Land use tells people to call me. They think I can fix it.
Well, first thing you have to do is see if they're burning within the ordinance or outside the ordinance. Because if they're burning within the ordinance and then people are complaining, then there's an issue for looking at changing the ordinance. If it's not, then it's an enforcement issue. So you need to be prepared, Tom, to answer all those questions that I'm sure that Ms. Ogala is going to present to you. To make sure that we really need to address this. You don't have to say a word, Judy, I'm just saying. I think I said it for you. You know, so it's got to go beyond the feel-good, Tom. You know, so, but darn, I applaud your persistence. Tom. Okay,
That's what I get paid to do here.
next we'll get to committee reports. Tom, you have anything?
One
Land
zoning
use?
case, they didn't add on this. Is this a draft agenda?
Yes, it's on there.
There's another request for doing historic surveys.
Okay, so
should
you want to
be
leave a
added.
spot for that?
Did not see anything on that one. Okay, yeah, save us.
Save a space, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, so you making a motion to save a space?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Brooks, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, any questions for Tom? Finance?
A couple things, we're committing some funds for the University of Illinois Cooperative Extension, incorporating some grant funds for the abandoned residential property municipal relief program, and authorize the county executive to execute necessary delinquent tax refund.
Okay, any questions for Mike? All right, next, we have Public Works and Transportation. Mr. Gould, you have any?
We have one resurfacing item, and we have designating off-road as County Highway 90. That was part of the jurisdictional transfer we made with IDOT when we did Arsenal Road. And maybe I can ask the staff, I'm sorry, is the Village of Romeoville proposal on?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Yeah.
That is on for this month? So we did hear it at committee, so I guess it will move forward to the board. Did the state's attorney's office?
You know, I think, Tom, that Mary is going to probably advise the board on how she views this. I don't know if she necessarily needs to do it here.
That this exceeds the authority of the county board. For that reason, we won't be drafting a resolution for it, so you'll have to look to find someone to do that. I've also asked our insurance carrier to comment on your insurance coverage should you pass an ordinance that exceeds your authority. So preliminarily, they've said they don't think there would be coverage, but they have sent it to their attorneys for review.
So that's what,
What did we find, or what did we receive in terms of the, and we didn't receive any specifics, but the proposal that was made at the committee was that the developer would pay for all these improvements. And I raised the question about putting funds in escrow, having letters of credit as a backup. Did we ever receive anything in that regard? Because how can we approve this month if we don't really have anything guaranteeing those funds? Because the county's not going to pay for this.
I think, Don, that we would have to work out the agreement. So,
And I think the village-
and I think if there was a resolution, all that would be spelt out in there, but I think that we have to, the state's attorney is advising us this exceeds the authority of the board. Whether I agree with that or don't agree with it doesn't mean much, because they're our legal counsel, unless we wanted to seek independent counsel to give an opposing opinion, or I shouldn't even say opposing opinion, to have outside counsel also take a look at it. I think we have the ability to do, but that doesn't change the opinion of the state's attorney's office. I will ask the state's attorney why they say this exceeds, and show me exactly how it exceeds the authority. Because this board has given variances and exceptions in other areas. So I need to see why this is different. I mean, you don't need to answer that now, Mary. I mean, that's something more for the full board to hear. So I mean, I'll be asking those questions. I'm going to be challenging the state's attorney's office, not so much on this particular, but to say that we don't have, or exceeds the authority of this board is probably what I'm going to challenge. You have to show me why the law and the statutes back that up, that's all. So,
But beyond
I think
that-
we should have unlimited authority on county business, so that's why.
Legislature and ask for home rule authority, and you can
Yeah, so
maybe do that.
So, and by the way, you know, for those who don't know, the Executive Act was only created for one reason, and that was to give counties home rule. It was never to have the kind of government we have here today. But anyway, that's I got to throw it in at least once a year, whether but at any rate,
I don't understand. So.
and the only mechanism for a county to be home rule is to have the executive form of government. That's what it was originally intended for, not to have a referendum saying we're going to exclude the home rule aspect of the statute. But that's another 3-hour lecture. Yeah, but anyways, okay. So,
Well, question, if there's
because I might say, we have the executive form of government, which gives us the right to home rule. And you can tell us, yeah, but you didn't put it in.
Well, and then, yeah, appellate court has already said no, you don't, so.
Yeah, I know. At any rate, so basically you're saying municipalities can do it because they have home rule?
Then let Romeoville prepare it.
Municipalities have the authority to do it because of home rule?
Maybe that, maybe that their statutory provisions are different, but the road and bridge with regard to counties prohibits you having signals less than 1,000 feet, and it prohibits you from doing it if there aren't the traffic warrants there. So you've got two things that would prohibit you from doing that, and there's a Supreme Court decision that says this is a ministerial duty, which means you have no discretion. So you have no variance procedure for this particular type of thing. Now, if there were traffic warrants, or if there were, some other issue that, required it, but even in this case, if it were 1,000 feet, you need the traffic warrants unless there was some other safety issue that demanded it, but the statute absolutely prohibits it less than 1,000 feet. And there's, even if you met the traffic warrants, which you don't, you would still be prohibited.
We put an emphasis on that, Mary, which you don't. But of course, would be an option of jurisdictional transfer to that part of the road.
If you want to do a jurisdictional transfer, if the liability is Romeoville's, I don't care. That's their problem.
I'm just throwing that out to make people aware that the Romeoville could ask for part of the road, I guess. Okay.
Well, how will, if there's no resolution and the state's attorney's office is not going to prepare a resolution, then
Still on there,
how are
Tom.
we intending to proceed with this? Is this discussion only, or is this
It'll
actually?
be the state's attorney telling us that we don't have the authority to take action on this.
Okay,
All right?
that's my question.
Yep. So, and then if that creates some discussion, and I guess, like I say, I would challenge on this, anytime the state attorney says we don't have the authority to do something, I want a good explanation of why. So I'll be asking for, but that has nothing to do with this particular case. It has more to do with the authority of the board. So. Okay, judicial, do we have anything on judicial worth mentioning? No resolution. Okay, public health and safety, Judy, okay. Legislative and policy, nope, thank you. Capital improvements, well, we've heard all we're gonna hear about capital improvements.
safety and judicial complex, that's it.
Okay,
Got the lease agreement for the towers coming out.
Yeah, we got the towers, and we got the initial estimate for the sheriff's IT expense.
okay, very good. Executive, any questions for me on executive? We just went through all my executive committee items. Okay, is there any public comment at this time? Is there any comment by committee members? I have no reports or announcements to make. Is there a need for the executive session? Oh, Mary, you gonna make it quick, Mary? Oh, this is labor
And we have labor
negotiation.
negotiations too. Yes.
Okay, so we got, okay, then, okay, so what I think I'm going to, nothing that's gonna, anything that affects the
County board agenda.
agenda?
You don't need it.
Okay, so then I'll entertain a motion to approve the county board agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session for labor negotiations. Okay, and litigation. So we have a motion second, all in favor? No, got to take the roll, I'm sorry. Take the roll, please.
Yes.
Brizalone? Yes. Gold? Yes. Hart? Yes. Ogalla? Yes. Parker? Yes. Staley Ferry? Yes. Chumanello? Yes. Weigel?
We got a leadership.
Gentry? And Youssef?